Good morning. Come on in and get settled. We've got a couple of chairs, as always, up front, so please make your way up to the forward tables. Don't be shy. We've got an excellent panel discussion for you today. Today is week 2 of our all-church book read. We have been reading Javier Zamora's memoir, Solito, about his own experience of immigration, told in his own voice, his memory of being a 9-year-old child making that journey. And we are delighted today to present a panel discussion of folks who have experienced immigration journeys of their own. We'll hear from Beth when she introduces our panelists. These will be different experiences than Solito's. Every experience is unique, but we are really grateful to have this panel with us. So let me tell you a little bit about how this panel came to be. Beth Gillespie is an elder in training. You will see her next week being installed as a new elder at Westminster. She is a teacher at Wellstone International High School here in Minneapolis, with whom Westminster has something of a relationship. I believe Wellstone has its prom here coming up on June 7th, Wellstone prom. I hear it is not to be missed. I hear it is quite a party. And yes, and so we are, I very much hope to. I'll have to work on my dancing. And so this is a school we have a relationship with. And when I talked to Beth about ideas for this panel that the all-church book read had been generating, she said, there are alums of Wellstone who are actively out there in the community telling their stories. Maybe those are some stories that we would like to hear and some experiences we'd like to engage. And they're actually collected in this book called Green Card Youth Voices, Immigration Stories from a Minneapolis High School. This is part of a series of Green Card Voices books. And 2 of our panelists are featured in it. So I'm going to stop talking so that they can start talking. I'm going to hand the mic over to Beth Gillespie, who can introduce our panel. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to say just a little bit more about Wellstone and then let our panelists tell you a little bit about them. So Wellstone International High School is part of the Minneapolis Public Schools. And its purpose is to teach older students, ages 17 to 21-ish, who are new to the United States, learning English and working towards a high school diploma. We currently have around 225 students from at least 20 countries and who speak at least 20 different languages. I counted, I got a couple different numbers, but at least 20. We have a few members of the Wellstone family today here with us. Hello, they're not waving at me. And I bet there are a few more on the live stream. I sent them the link. And to illustrate a little bit about our Wellstone family, I'm going to read a very short statement that we call Wellstone's Heart of the Lion. Our mascot is the lions. And we say this at the end of all of our assemblies. It's sort of our mission statement or motto. We are the Wellstone Lions. We are fully engaged in learning, listening, and participating. We are respectful of each other. We are kind in all moments, even when it is the most difficult. We speak our truths with grace. We embrace each other's cultures and stories. We are compassionate leaders and advocates for justice. We are multilingual, multicolored, and multi-talented. We are the world. And our panelists here today, I think, are great exemplars of that Wellstone Heart of the Lion. And so I'm going to give them a minute now to introduce yourself. So if you can just tell everyone your name, your pronouns, your birth country, a little bit about what you're doing now, that would be great. Maybe we'll just go down the line.
Okay.
So you're first.
Okay, sounds great. All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Natalie Molina, and my pronouns are she, her, her. And I'm from Ecuador, and right now I currently work for the City of Minneapolis Finance and Property Service Department.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angie Cisneros. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I was born in Ecuador, and right now I am the school secretary for Wellstone International High School.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angel Santos Enriquez. I am from El Salvador. My pronouns are they, them, but I don't really care about pronouns, so. And right now, I'm working for the Hennepin County Public Health Clinic. and the Red Door Clinic, which is a clinic that works with people who have been diagnosed with HIV, with STIs. We work with immigrants, refugees that have recently arrived to the United States from the Ukraine or any part of the world. So I'm really happy to be working in a place that, it feels very similar to what Wellstone was.
Thank you. And before we get started, I just want to note that if you think these young people are amazing and inspiring and want to hang out with people like that, we take volunteers at Wellstone. So just find me later or talk to Margaret and she'll send me your contact information. We would love to further grow the connection between Westminster and Wellstone. We're just located on the campus of MCTC, so very close by. So at least for now, they move us around all the time. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We all here at Westminster have been reading Solito, and as you know, Solito tells the story of one young boy's journey from El Salvador through Guatemala and Mexico, across the border and into the U.S. It is at the same time both very specific because the author includes so many details, and universal because so many other immigrants have such similar stories. Our panelists, your stories are different in some ways because you didn't cross the border without papers, but they're similar in other ways because maybe you left family behind, as Javier leaves his grandparents and his aunt. Maybe you were journeying to reunite with families you hadn't seen for years, like Javier journeyed to reunite with his parents. Or maybe you had visions of the US that didn't end up being true, as Javier imagines his parents living in a huge house with a pool. Solito starts by giving us a glimpse into Javier's life in El Salvador, where he lived with his grandparents and his aunt and went to school. Is there anything you'd like to share with us about your life in your birth country? And whoever wants to start can start.
Okay. So I'm from Ecuador, and life over there was really difficult because my mom and I were homeless at the time. I did not grow up with a father, so my father left us, and then I remember the homeless and all the sadness that it carries along, and then my mom decided, hey, I think it is time for me to go to the USA because you are going to have a better life if I move into the US, because it is the dream country, And then she left me when I was 5 years old. And at the time, I did not understand what was going on. I knew that my mom was leaving, but I was like, okay, she's leaving for work. Like, a 5-year-old. And then, I did not grow up with my father, so I basically had like a foster family. My godmother, she was the one who take care of me, and then I always felt that emptiness, but I couldn't understand why I felt that emptiness that without growing up without parents, and I always feel like kind of depressed and sad. But then my mom, she called me when I was 13 years old. She was like, hey, it is time for you to come here to see me, and everything. Like, she was like so excited. And at that moment, I make friends, and I have my godmother family, and I was like super happy. I was like, I already made my life here. Like, at the same time, I was like, I'm so excited to meet my mom again. But then it was really hard. It was a mix of emotions. And I would say that life was really hard in Ecuador, but also when I came here, it was harder too. So it wasn't like, oh, it's going to be better. No, it has its challenges, but I'm going to answer that question later. But yes, it was good and beautiful, but at the same time, I went through a lot.
Okay, so I am also from Ecuador. I was born in a city that's called Loja. It's at the south of Ecuador. It's a small city. It's really beautiful. I lived with my mom and my father until I was 7. He then moved out of the house, and I lived with my 2 other sisters and my mom. I will say that my childhood was like it had very good things. Like I was able to be like free and like play and have my cousins close to me and like experience many things that I still cherish in my memory. But there were also many difficult things, like the economy in Ecuador was really bad for us, and my mom didn't have a job. Sometimes my dad was there, sometimes he wasn't. So economy was really hard. I think for the idea of coming to the US for me, and like it was all about the economy, you know, like I love my country, I love the food, I love everything over there, like everything is beautiful, I love my language, but the economy was really hard, so it was really hard to be like, to survive, basically, you know, like I will see my mom trying to find a job really hard, so she fought really hard for many years to make a living and make us be happy and be safe. So yeah, I think I really love all the memories that I have from my country, but at the same time, as Natalie was saying, it's hard, and we have to be honest. You know, like there are many things that are wrong in the politics and in the economy in our countries, which hurt the people who are like lower income most. So yeah, I think that's what I can say about my life in my birth country.
Okay, so El Salvador, this is like the smallest country in Central America. So, of course, you know, I feel like we face a lot of challenges. El Salvador is such a beautiful country, but quite honestly, as a member of the LGBTQ community, I know that that's not a place for me to live. So, my life in El Salvador, of course, you know, it had good days and bad days, but I felt like, you know, the bad days were more than the good ones. And unfortunately, you know, sometimes I felt like, you know, people treated me like I was not a human being, or that, you know, I didn't deserve the respect that I should have. And it never crossed my mind that I wanted to come to the US, but, you know, thankfully, I was able to get a green card, and that's why I'm here. But I'm 100% sure if I didn't have that opportunity, I would have probably, you know, crossed the border without documents, because I knew very well that, you know, life in El Salvador is not gonna be, I was not gonna probably, you know, turn 40 and be alive, because first of all, you know, when I was there, it was very dangerous. And, you know, adding the thing that, you know, you're part of the LGBTQ community, it just makes it worse. So I feel like the change of coming to the United States, it was difficult, but quite honestly, I don't see myself going back to El Salvador. To me, the United States, you know, I literally, you know, just think that I was born again here in Minnesota, and I'm just like so happy to be here, quite honestly. And I go back to El Salvador, but I cannot be there, you know, for more than a week. It's sad, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is, and there's things that, you know, we cannot change. We probably, you know, can make, you know, little things to probably try and change, you know, the way society works, but it's scary. I think that, you know, doing that in a country in Latin America, you know, sadly, things like that are just, I mean, our lives in Latin America sometimes do not matter. So yeah, I'm extremely happy to be here.
Thank you all for sharing that part of your life. Most of Solito is about Javier's journey from El Salvador to the United States. Besides giving us so many details about his travel, he shares a lot of his emotions about leaving his grandparents and his aunt, and his anticipation of seeing his parents at the end of his journey. What was it like for you when you left your country? What was hard to leave, and what were you excited about? And are there any memories of your journey that you would like to share with us?
It was really hard. I was like, I already mentioned, I have a lot of friends, and also it was hard. It was like a mix of emotions, because also I wanted to see my mom. I wanted to meet her again. After 9 years, I had the chance to come here and meet her again, and I hugged her But the thing is that I thought that I was going to feel so excited, but not. I feel sad. I leave my family that I grew up, and it was hard. And then I start middle school because my mom thought that it was important for me to start right away school. So I started middle school, and it was like almost the end of the year of the middle school. But I was like, I spent like 4 or 5 months middle school the last year, and kids start to bully me because I didn't speak English. So they were like super hard on me. They did horrible things to me. They called me a lot of bad things. So that, I was like so afraid later. It impacted me so much that I was so afraid to speak in English. So even when I went to college, I was like, I had to take a public speaking course. So I was like, I'm not going to do it. But it was a requirement for me to graduate. So it was hard. I also, like, when I came here, I was like, I know the United States is gonna be like Home Alone. I really like to watch Home Alone. So I was like, my house is gonna be like that, like the snow, everything. No. And also my mom, she was a single mom, and she had a 2-year-old when I came. So then she was like, because she was a single mom, she had to work the whole day. So it was basically me raising my little brother. So that was super impactful for me. It was like super hard for me because I was like, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this life. I'm not used to speak another language and learn the language. I don't have friends. I don't have family. I didn't grow up with my mom. So I really had at the beginning, I really had a bad relationship with my mom, because I did not grow up with her. So she was like, how do I take care of her? And I was like, no, like, I was like, leave me alone, because I did not grow up with her. So it was like a really bad relationship with my mom. Now we have a good relationship, but back then it was like horrible. And I thought, and I tried like 2 times to commit suicide, because I was like, I don't have friends, I don't speak the language, I don't like the food, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But there are things like, when you're young, there's a lot of thoughts that comes to your mind, and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. So I was like, I tried to commit it 2 times, but it did not happen. I don't know what happened, but, I'm here with you guys. But, yeah, that was my life coming here at the beginning. And I told you, it came harder and harder, but I'm here. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so leaving my country was probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done. I had to leave all my family behind. The only ones who came here with me were my mom and my older sister, who's also working at Wellstone, actually. We came here. Well, I want to acknowledge first how privileged I am to be here, because I came here legally. I came here with papers. It wasn't hard. I just got on a plane. The flight and everything, it's like stressful, and you're scared because you don't speak the language. But I think being at Wellstone and having met so many people that went through all different types of situations, I really think I'm really, really privileged. So I will say I was excited. Since I was little, I always thought that I was going to leave Ecuador because I didn't feel happy, like in the way of, I didn't think that I was going to go to school. I didn't think that I was going to get a career. Like, those dreams were not part of my life or my mindset at the time. So I knew, I always told my mom I want to go to England or to somewhere else, because I always knew that I wanted something else for my life, something else that unfortunately I couldn't get at Ecuador. So I was excited for the opportunities, but I will say the ideas that I had were not real at all. Like, I knew I came here and we thought that we were going to find a family with the person that brought us here, but that wasn't true. We ended up being like Like the person told us to leave the house and we didn't have a place to live. We didn't know the system. So Wellstone was a big part of my first days and months in the US, because I found a family at Wellstone, people who were like super good to me and helped me through a lot of the things that I went through. They were, all the teachers I remember were trying to help find a home for us, like an apartment or somewhere that we could live, because we didn't know where to go. So one of the teachers, actually, he found an apartment for my mom, my sister, and I, so we moved over there through his friends, and then we were slowly getting used to the idea of, oh, here in the US, to get an apartment, you have to get some credit. What is credit? We didn't know. We didn't know you have to have these certain like things, especially to like be able to rent over here, or all those types of things. So it was really difficult to learn. The journey that I had was, like I said, very privileged, but at the same time it was hard. Like I remember I just wanted to cry when I was here. Like the first 3 nights I just felt this pressure in my chest, like something was missing, because you let go of your identity, you let go of a person that you were in your home country, and it's something new that you have to be here, and you're never gonna be the same person that you were back then. So your body knows that, kind of, like it's just a feeling like something is missing inside of me, and I just like, this is a new life, it's a new place, it's new people, and everything is new, so it's scary. I think it will be scary for all of us. So yeah, it was difficult. At the same time, I'm so happy that I went to Wellstone, because that's my family, and it's gonna be my family forever. Because they are so great with the students, and now working there, I just see all the things that they do behind the scenes, and I'm just like so happy, and I admire all the teachers and all the people who work there, because they're amazing. So thank you.
I knew that, so I was 17 when I came to the US, and I knew that I didn't want to leave El Salvador, but at the same time, I knew that it was needed. I knew that it wasn't a decision that I was just going to be like, okay, no, I'm not gonna take it, because I knew that, my life was at risk. So it was like a lot of emotions that I felt. I knew that, I was coming to the United States with my dad. We didn't have a good relationship at all. We didn't used to talk, and he was living in El Salvador. So he was the person that I had to come here to the United States, which was basically a stranger. Quite honestly, we had some, really bumpy moments in our life, but right now, he's honestly my right hand. Honestly, I don't know what I will probably be doing, if he wasn't here with me. So I'm extremely thankful with that. But one thing that I want to share about, my journey coming to the United States. So we took a Delta flight. In Delta, usually, you have to go to Atlanta, and that airport is huge. So we got lost, and we were about to miss our flight. And honestly, I don't even know how I started communicating with someone, because, I didn't speak enough English. It was just really bad. But we were so afraid, because, it was this new country, this new vibe that you were feeling. New language that that we needed to learn, and I just remember seeing my dad's face, and he looked so afraid, and I'm like, okay, Dad, you gotta get it together, because you're the older person here, but we figure it out. I feel like the English part of it was quite a journey, but I feel like if you want to learn a new language, it's always good to put an extra effort in it. And, I know that a lot of people like to learn a new language like Spanish. My recommendation is to listen to music and watch TV in the language that you want to learn.
Thank you. A lot of you talked a little bit about this next question already, so if you don't have anything to add, that's totally fine, but I want to give you the chance. Solito, the book ends with Javier and his parents reuniting in the United States, but we don't get to see how his life develops in the US, although I heard he's writing a sequel, so maybe we will later. How were your first few months in the US, if there's anything you want to add? And if you feel like you covered it, we'll move on to the next question.
It was hard, but you had like, when I was so like, people were like, hi, and I was like, huh? hi. I was like, thank you. Because like I did not know. I only in Ecuador, like they taught me how to say hello, but they never taught me that hi it was hello also. So I was like, thank you, because I did not know. So the first few months in the U.S. was like a learning curve. Also to start from zero and leave my family behind and everything like that. But also like I was like, there is nothing for me to do. Like I'm not able to go back. Like I need to stay here. How I'm going to buy a flight or how I'm going to leave my mom. So it was like basically me like, okay, so this is you now. You need to work together, like work it out together, because this is your new life, and it was a learning curve for me. So, and also like, even though I have difficult moments, after I graduated from middle school, I went to Wellstone, and then I was super happy because I met my best friend, it's right here. So we've been high school friends since, how many years? 11 years, our friendship. So he's my best friend. So we've been the first time that I saw him, I was like, oh, he looks nice. But then we talk and everything. And then I was like, oh, he's my best friend from now on. So, and I've had good friendships, and also with, not only with my friends and the students, but also with the teachers. So thank you, Ms. Ullman, to be here and supporting us. But yes, I have good relationship with the teachers, and it hasn't been an amazing thing. When I look back, I am like, wow, all of this happened to me, and look at me now. So that's the only thing that I'm going to say now.
Okay, so I came to the U.S. in August 2018. My first days here, like I said, were like I was just trying to understand and to realize and come to the reality of I am in the United States and I'm not in Ecuador anymore. And I will say even up until now, some days I just wake up and I'm like my mind is just expecting me to wake up in my room in Ecuador, you know? So I've been here 5 years, almost 6 years. But, so yeah, I think also one of the things that were like hard for me were to see my mom. She struggled a lot. Like, she struggled with English. Like, for me, it was easier to learn the language. I don't know exactly why, but I like learned it really fast. But my mom was like having a tough time, and so my sister and I had to like help her with all the things. So it was a pressure on us too. But so it's like we love to help our mom, but at the same time, it's just really heavy, you know, to be like having to take her to places and having to translate all the time. And it's not that we don't love her and we don't want to do that. It's just really hard. So I started to go to Wellstone in 2018. I remember being so excited about, they give us breakfast here and they give us lunch, and all those little things were like so exciting. So I started working, I think at the same time I started going to Wellstone. So I was also excited about going to work and learning all the new things. And, you know, I got lost so many times in the bus and in the train, like I used to work at the Mall of America, and I lived in Uptown, so it was like a long way. But I got lost so many times, and I used to cry in the bus, but you know, I learned it, and now I'm like, I know everything. But back in the day, it was really, really hard. So yeah, my first few months here in the US were really like a mix of emotions, and also like when you come here, you really, there's a time and a point that you are going to feel guilt because you know that you left your country. You're like sometimes asking yourself, why did I do it? Like it's just so hard. So, you know, there are good things about like being here for the first time, and then bad things about being here for the first time. So.
It's crazy to think that, you know, this June is going to be 12 years that I, you know, came to the United States. And quite honestly, I do remember, you know, hearing people speak English. And it was my priority to, you know, to learn the language. So I remember that I was listening to music and, like, you know, like I was saying, listening to music and watch TV in the language that you want to learn. And I was doing that, before we started school. Like, I will listen music whole day, or probably, watch TV in English, even though I didn't understand anything. But I was committed to learn the language, because I knew that, if I didn't speak English, probably my goals were going to be shortened because of that. So that was a big part of, what I did, the first month here in the U.S. It was learning the language, and also, navigating the whole culture. We are a very diverse country that, you meet people from all over the world. And quite honestly, I feel like at first that was pretty shocking to me. But honestly, I am so grateful that, I had the opportunity to go to a high school that taught me to respect and different ideologies, religions, and way of living, styles of lives. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say.
So you've all been here quite a while now, 5 years, 11 years, lots of different times. But how has your life been in the United States? Is there anything you'd like to mention about what you're doing now besides what you said in the introduction, or how you got from Wellstone to where you are now, or anything else about your time in the United States?
So at the time when I came here, I didn't understand why all of this was happening to me. I was like, I cannot anymore. But now looking back, I am like, I'm so grateful that I've been through all of that. I only say that because I feel like I grew up and I am a mature person. Then I can help other students. It can be, I go to a church, so even I can help people that are coming in, like newcomers to church, and I'm so grateful that this happened to me. So I can give better advice. I know I've been there, so I can give advice to people. I can help others. So I think that's, give me 1 second, yeah, so, and then after graduating from Wellstone, of course, in Wellstone, I was like, I'm not going to learn any English, so I was like hanging out with my friends and only speaking in Spanish. But then I went to college, and then it was hard for me. I didn't have my friends, I didn't have my teachers. So, and then I was like, okay, it's time for me to learn. And then I already mentioned about the public speaking course. So, and then I was like, I had to learn and push myself, because I was like, if I am here, it's for a reason. If my mom brought me here, it's for a reason. I need to become a better person and stop complaining about everything that happened. The past is the past, whatever. And now this is new for me. Like, I need to be a new person. I need to be the better person, the better version of myself. So yeah, so that's how I see life now. And then, of course, I graduated from college, and I couldn't find a job. So I applied for 100, I'm not lying, Indeed shows hundreds of applications that apply. And I always went through the interview. I got to the interview, and when they hear me speak, they were like, oh, you're not qualify. You don't qualify for this position. Even though I have my bachelor's degree, they were like, no. And I was like, nothing is going to stop me. I'm going to get a job. And it was during COVID that I graduated, and I was like, okay, I need to make money. So I was like doing DoorDash. I was doing DoorDash and applying for jobs, applying, and I remember that I did an internship for the city. So for the city of Minneapolis, and they call me and they say, hey, we're looking for a temp. Do you want to go join us? And I was like, of course, please. So then I started as a temp, 2019 as an intern for a few months, and then they rehired me as a temp, and they were like, oh, you're such a hard worker. Let me write a contract for a permanent position. I was like, oh, thank you. And then I've stayed there and trying to move on, and now, yeah, this is my life. And I had to learn the language, and I had to adjust, and I'm so grateful to be here. To see people that want to learn about it, like to learn my story. I feel like this is an amazing journey for me, for my life, that people want to hear me. So thank you very much. That's all that I have to say right now.
Okay, so I went to school and also worked at the same time. So that was really complicated because when I started working, I was working at a clothing store. So that was kind of like cool. I got to learn English and stuff. But then I got a job at a cleaning company in downtown. So I was cleaning offices from I think it was 5 p.m. until 1:30 a.m. And then I went to school from 7 to 3, So it was really complicated. And I think it was a year long that I worked 2 jobs. So I worked at the cleaning company and also at the clothing store. So Monday to Sunday, I was working and working. I remember, and I think it's one of the things that still happen. It's still happening at Wellstone. Teachers always tell you, don't work that much because then you're sleeping in my classes. But it's just like, I don't know, like it's just really hard to have that conversation. And I remember that for me, like the first couple of times where teachers told me that, like I was leaning in the desk and I was sleeping because I was so tired, because I will do homework like at 2 in the morning. And I remember the first times the teachers were telling me that, I was like, you don't understand what I'm going through. Like, don't even tell me anything, because I got really mad with those teachers. I was like, you don't know what I'm going through. Like, I'm working a lot because I need to support my family, and I need to pay rent, and I need to support that. So those were like the hard conversations that I had. And I remember the same teacher that helped me find the apartment, he would talk to me a lot about, you have to do a budget. And I was like, what is a budget? And you have to do this, there's a way that you can get a part-time. But in my mind, that couldn't happen. I was like, I need to work full-time because otherwise I'm not gonna be able to survive. But now I've come to realize that it was just the fear of going back to the same situation that I was in Ecuador, I used to tell my teacher, I was like, I remember being at home and my mom was like trying to find even like 1-2 cents to be able to buy an egg. So I didn't want to go back to that. So it was really scary. And that was the reason why I wanted to work so much, even though probably I didn't need it. But I was working so much because I was just so scared to go back and be scared of not having something to eat, So right now my life has been, up and downs. I graduated from Wellstone in 2021. Then I kept working at the cleaning company. I did go to college for like a few classes. I was privileged enough to also be part of the program that Wellstone has to be able to take college classes during your high school years. So that was really good. And then when COVID came, it was really tough on me, so I had to stop going to college. But after like a few months, I started working at different places. I worked at restaurants, I worked at Amazon. I just couldn't find my place, I was really lost. But after that, one day came a message from one of the teachers at Wellstone. He was like, do you want to be Wellstone secretary? And I was like, is that even a possibility for me? Like, I didn't believe in myself. I was like, can I do it? And he said, yeah, of course you can do it. So I applied. Then I went to the interview. I felt so happy, so good to be back there. And I got the job, and I was so happy. And this is my second year working there, and it's just unbelievable. Like every day I go to work, it's just like, this is just the best thing that could ever happen to me. I love working there. I love working with the teachers. I love seeing the families come every day, and I can see myself in them, and I can see how when they ask me, oh, and where are you from? And I'm like, Ecuador. And they're like, how long have you been here? And I'm like, 5 years. They get so excited and so happy because they can see that they can also do that. So they, like, the parents get happy for their kids. They're like, okay, my kids can do this. Like, if you did it, they can also do it. So it's just really good to be at Wellstone, honestly.
Well, life has been, bumpy. I will say that, life is not always going to be black and white. There was always going to be so many colors that will come into place. And what I feel like, so I became a U.S. citizen in 2019. I have been working for the county for about 6 years now. And have an associate's degree as well. I feel like, all the things that I have done here in the US, I will have probably, never thought about them. And I'm extremely thankful, and of course, I recognize my privilege, like she was saying that we were able to come to this country, with documents in an airplane, and I will always, forever be thankful that I didn't have to take that route. But I just wanted to say that, my promise is, as an immigrant, I will always make sure that I'm doing good things for the society and the country that, we are in. I'm extremely thankful, again, to be in the United States, and I will always try to be a good citizen and, make this country a better place for people to live.
Thank you all. We're going to try to go quick on this last question so we get some time for Q&A. So I want to hear a little bit, though, advice that you would give to people who interact with immigrants, both things to do and things not to do. So maybe to keep it quick, do your top one of each. Your top thing to do and your top thing not to do, if you have one of each, for people while they are interacting with immigrants.
When you're interacting with an immigrant, please try to speak slowly. Because when I came here, it was like, and I was like, okay. And also another thing to not do, to not assume. Because like when they tell me, oh, you're from Mexico, you eat tacos. Not, I'm from Ecuador and I don't eat tacos.
Okay, so my top thing to do will be to just show yourself as a welcoming person. Just like show them that you care about their journey, even if you're just saying hi or whatever. If you can just show that you care about what they went through, and that, like Margaret said at the beginning, every experience is unique. So you cannot just assume that everyone went through the same thing. So yeah, connection. Do not, like she said, do not assume that everyone is the same. Do not assume that all immigrants came to the country the same way. So just be careful with the way that you interact with them and the way that you treat them, because sometimes people have a lot of trauma. So maybe there are things that they will hear and that they will trigger some things in their minds. So yeah.
I can only think about things on what to do with, talking or working with an immigrant. Ask questions. Honestly, I'm never afraid, if a person feels like they're going to ask a dumb question. I feel like it's always good to ask questions because we learn. That's how we learn. And that's how we're able to interact with more people. I have found that, and I even do this at work still, if I am talking to a person whose English is not their first language, what I will do is I will do a lot of hand movement. And I felt like, that has worked so much for me. So probably, if you have, come in close contact with someone who doesn't speak English, sometimes I feel like hand movement and, pointing things can really help.
Thank you. So now we're going to take about 5 or 10 minutes to both have you discuss at your table things that stood out to you in the panelist discussion. You could talk about some similarities and differences between the panelist stories and Javier's story in Solito. And then you can also at the same time write down any questions you have on note cards at your table, and somebody will come around and collect them, and then we'll ask a few. And if you're in the live stream, you can also write questions in the chat. Margaret's got a computer, so she will pass your questions along to us as well. So we'll take 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 7. We'll do 7 minutes, and so that we have some time to read some of your Q&As. All right, we're gonna bring you back so that we can get a few questions in before we lose the live stream. And then we'll probably keep going a few more minutes. So I think probably maybe Angie and I can answer this first question, which is, how does Wellstone get connected with the immigrants? And I mean, the district sends them to us mostly, but it says Angie is our secretary. She knows all about this process. So go, Angie.
So yeah, I mean, like she said, the district, so families will go to the Minneapolis Public Schools district. They will like give background on their education. Usually if they have transcripts from the country, they will give it to them. The way that it works, it's like they decide based on the age, on the how long did they get in school in their home countries. And so when we get the students, I will do the registration process. They come to the office. We talk to them about like we just ask like background questions, like I said. So also we have had some families that just come because former students are their family members, or they just heard about Wellstone. There are many that are sadly cannot come to Wellstone because they're 15 or they're 16, and they're like so sad sometimes. But yeah, that's how that works. We get connected through the school district.
All right, this one is for all of you. How did you choose to come to Minnesota rather than another state?
My mom was already here, so she was like, "Oh, here I live. So you're coming to Minnesota." So
Yeah. I came here because my mom got married to a man that lived here. He was also from Ecuador, but he lived here for like 30 years. So yeah, he was based here. He said, "You're coming here," so he came here. I didn't get a choice.
From my experience, so my grandmother was already here, so that's why we decided that we wanted to come to Minnesota. And quite honestly, I wouldn't see myself in another state. I just love winter so much. I don't like summer, which is crazy. Which is very crazy because, I'm from a country that is hot every single day. So I'm extremely happy that, we landed here in the coldest probably state.
So this questioner said they were grateful to hear how Angel's friendship and how it was so important to Natalie. And they want to know what other relationships or communities have been helpful to each of you in adjusting to the United States and in building a life here.
for me, it has been church. So I go to a Christian church. Excuse me.
So with me, it has been Wellstone. Honestly, all my connections for the people that I, have worked with or the things that I have done have come from Wellstone. We are part of the Green Card Youth Voices book, and the opportunity came from Wellstone. We did a lot of public speaking. That opportunity came from Wellstone. And even the friendships that we have with the teachers now, I'm still in contact with so many teachers that we met in Wellstone, and yeah, it's been Wellstone most of it.
You ready? Okay. Sorry. For me, it has been church. Church has been really helpful, and then I found myself going, I work with organizations that are helping immigrants in the church, within the church. So that has been really grateful, and I know that people at church are super nice, and yeah, I think that has helped me a lot, and also having good friendships with teachers or people around. I always try to be nice, but also at my work, also I have good friendships, and they just keep me moving on. So I think that's how it has been for me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, same as Angel. Wellstone has been everything for me. It means a family right now. And everyone that has helped me has been teachers. I met my friends. I met my boyfriend through Wellstone. I still I work with them, and they are my family. I don't think I've ever made another kind of connection with other people, but yeah, Wellstone is I can just say really proudly that they make connections with the students. They don't let go. Even if you graduate after that, they're checking on you. They're like, how are you doing? If they see you, they're so happy to see you again. It's just great. it's just great. So you should definitely make connections to Wellstone too, because the students are amazing, and it's just great to learn their experiences. Honestly, like our experiences are unique and I'm very privileged. But if you go there and you meet them, the students at Wellstone have amazing stories, and they are so hardworking and so smart, and they are just the best. So yeah.
We are lucky to work with them. Someone was wondering if Wellstone High School is a part of high school, like similar high schools in the United States. And no, we're part of Minneapolis Public Schools. But there is a similar high school in St. Paul with St. Paul Public Schools called LEAP. And we were part of the International Schools Network. I don't think we technically are anymore, but they're, I think, mostly in New York. I'm looking at my Wellstone colleagues. And they also serve new-to-country immigrants. So there are other schools similar to us in the United States. We often say sometimes when the district does professional development that we kind of wish we could do our own thing with LEAP in St. Paul, because sometimes the district stuff is not the most relevant for us. But yeah, we are kind of our own little island. And then obviously throughout all of the Minneapolis public schools, they are serving new-to-country immigrants ages, birth through 17. At the other high schools, they all have new-to-country students, many, especially right now. We just have the older bunch at Wellstone, and I think we're probably the only school that has only new-to-country immigrants. Somebody wants to know if any of you are going to write a book. Anyone want to write a book? You can say yes or no.
Or maybe.
Or maybe.
Personally, I will definitely, I think that I have so many things that I could include in a book. I would love to do that. Probably, it's not my goal right now, but that's such a good idea. I never thought about it.
I don't know. I think I will. I'm working on a project right now, waiting for a grant to be approved to actually have a podcast with the Wellstone students where they will share their stories and talk about how they came to this country and how their journey has been. So that's something I'm working on. Not a book, but something similar.
I would say yes.
Okay. Well, let us know. Maybe we'll make it our all-church book read in the future. Do we have time for one more? Okay. Does the pressure to assimilate create a pressure to lose your cultural identity and community with others from your birth country? I think that's something we hear a lot when we talk about immigration to the U.S. Sometimes people say, oh, it's a melting pot. We're supposed to all assimilate. And so do you feel that pressure? Do you not feel that pressure? Do you hold tight to your culture? What's that process like for you?
I do feel a pressure, and honestly, sometimes I see that I have detached myself from a lot of Salvadorian things, and which is, to me is so unfortunate, but at the same time, it was something that I didn't have control over it. I feel like, of course, I still talk to my family. I like to go sometimes to El Salvador, but I felt the pressure of, becoming a different person and probably forgetting a little bit of my culture, and I know it's embarrassing to say this, but it happens. I mean, we came to a country that has given me so much, and the things that I needed to do sometimes included forget my culture, and it's definitely something that I'm working on to be attached again, but I guess that it takes time sometimes.
Well, I think for me, the pressure is always there. I remember being in one of my my first English college classes, and one of the classmates, who was an older person, he said, "Oh, well, you're coming here. No one is telling you to not celebrate Christmas the way you do, or no one is telling you to don't celebrate or don't listen to your music, but." Really, if you go to a park and you try to listen to your music, there will be people will come out to you and be like, "Can you lower that?" or "Can you just turn that off?" Or there will be people who will discriminate you just because the way you look, So the pressure is always there. You're always thinking, and I've heard that from other people. Sometimes when you have been here for some years, you don't feel like you belong here. You don't feel like you belong at home. If I go home and I visit my family, it's like 5 days or more, I still feel like, okay, I just have luggage over there, but I don't have a bed, I don't have a room. It's not my home anymore, you know. And also when you come here, it's like, you know, I am not from here, so I don't belong either. So it's weird and it's hard. So the pressure is there, and you are always like debating. I don't think between losing your culture, because that's always in you, and your music and all the things that you learned, but the pressure is there on you. So it depends, I think, also on the environment that you are surrounded by.
Yes, I agree with all of them. Like, the pressure is there, so I think that's it.
All right, well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing with us. And remember, if you want to get involved with Wellstone, you can find me.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was fun. Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much. Did you read the book?
Which one?
Solito?